Okay guys, we're going to start off looking at number 5, part C. Part A and B were on your homework, and we want to look at part C and introduce the concept of a dummy variable. So part C says write an expression for A of t, the total number of gallons of water in the tank at time t. So if we recall, let's just look back at what we have here. Water is pumped into an underground tank at a constant rate of 8 gallons per minute. Water leaks out of the tank at the rate of square root of t plus 1 gallons per minute, and this is good for 0 less than or equal to t less than or equal to 120 minutes. At time t equals 0, the tank contains 30 gallons of water. So you guys did parts A and B, and just to verify, you should have gotten answers of 14/3 for part A and 148/3 for part B. So you can make sure you're doing those right. 14/3 and 148/3 are the answers you should have received for A and B. Now let's talk about part C. Write an expression for A of t, the total number of gallons in the tank of water in the tank at time t. So A of t equals. So as I look at this, I say, well, what am I going to need? I need the initial amount of water that was in the tank at time t equals 0. That's 30 gallons. We'll need to add to that the amount of water that has gone into the tank. Well, water is going into the tank at a rate of 8 gallons per minute. So that will be plus 8 times, but unlike part B where you should have done 8 times 3, we're writing an expression that can be used for any time. So we want to say plus 8t. That way, if it was for 5 minutes, we would say 8 times 5 and so on. So the initial amount plus the amount that has gone in, and that is 8 times t, and now we need to subtract away the amount that has left. Water is leaking at this rate, and we have learned that if you integrate a rate of change, you'll find an amount of change. So to find the amount of water that has leaked, I will need to integrate my rate function here. And this will be from 0 to any t value, right? Maybe we want to do 5 minutes, 0 to 5. Maybe we want to do 8 minutes, 0 to 8, and so on. So we have 0 to t of. Now, here's the new part. This is the actual variable in your problem. T is our variable. You can't use t here. You have to use a different variable here. We call it a dummy variable because it doesn't matter what letter you choose as long as it's not t. If you were to do this problem then by hand, which we're not doing here, but if you were to then integrate this using the first fundamental theorem, the dummy variable would go away and t would be back in there anyway. So it doesn't matter what variable you choose. We usually use x whenever our actual variable is not x. In this case it's a t. We'll usually use x. So instead of t plus 1, we're going to say x plus 1, and our differential needs to match our dummy variable. So this is dx. So we have a final answer of A of t equals 30 plus 8t minus the integral from 0 to t of the square root of x plus 1 dx, with x being what we call a dummy variable. And we will skip number 5, part D. We will do it at a later time, and that's the concept of the dummy variable.